Nestoil Limited is a member of the Obijackson Group, which commenced operation in 1991 to showcase the expertise and competence of Nigerians in the Nigerian oil and gas sector, which was mainly dominated by the international oil companies, IOCs. Nestoil, as the organization is fondly called, was originally engaged in blending and marketing of petroleum products. However, as a result of its dynamic management and technical competence, identified an opportunity in the oil and gas sector and reinvented itself as an engineering, procurement, construction, and commissioning EPCC services company. Ernest Azudialu Obijackson is the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive.
Nestoil Limited was formed in 1991 as an oil and gas service company. But actually, when we formed the company, we started off as a blending company. But after about 2 years, we realized that the blending business or the competition in the blending business is something that we are not quite comfortable with, because we see ourselves competing with Texaco and all the big companies. So we started looking into other areas of the oil and gas business. But when we looked at these areas, we'll find out that the oil and gas business has a gap. There's a lot of money that is being made, by this section or these sectors of this sector of the economy, where the oil production is being sold or the crude is being sold outside Nigeria. But the cost of production of that oil is something that we believe Nigerians were not participating. So we decided to look into that segment of the industry, and we found out that most of the works or most of the services is being provided by foreign companies within Nigeria. So we decided to focus Nestoil into that particular segment, and we started doing presentations, started talking to the IOCs, and by the time you know it, we started getting jobs and services provided for some of these companies. So Nestoil now kind of created a niche for himself by being one of the first indigenous companies to go into the service business.
George Osaho, Director, Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, which is the regulating body for the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, speaks on the activities of the department.
When you want to do business in the oil and gas industry, you need a license or a permit to do it. Of course, you know all the categories of permit you have to take. If you want to sell ordinary kerosene, you must take permit from the DPR. If you want to drill for oil, you have an operating company, you must take permit from the DPR. That means the DPR must have an idea of what it takes for you to give you a permit, what you need to do, how you need to do it, when you should do it, what the obligations are to government with respect to what you are doing. So because of that, the DPR, apart from the law, which is the guiding principle for everything we do, has some guidelines that are put in place for you to know what to do with respect to each of these operations that you have to go through. So we deal with everybody that's operating, whether you operate as a company into oil and gas activities or you operate as a service provider. When it also comes to data, data is one of the major areas of our activity. In fact, without data, we are dead, because that is what the country feeds on. You probably won't understand it that way, but the truth also is, if anybody wants to do any business anywhere here, you want to know exactly what has been going on. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And that means you need data. And we protect the data as much as possible, and that's one of the things where we're trying to structure, so that anybody can go on our website and download data, but it's not going to be free. One other area which everybody has addressed, which I think people are happy with, is the one we call oil and gas industry service permit. Is the permit you must take for you to operate in the oil and gas industry as a service provider. And what we've done is to computerize the system. So if you want your permit, what you should take like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 6 months, as the case may be, is now 72 hours. You apply online, you collect your document online.
It is instructive to note that Nestoil, a proponent of global best practices, also have other companies to function efficiently and effectively. These include the Energy Works Technology Limited, EWT, and ISO-certified manufacturers of pressure vessels, process plant equipment, as well as oil and gas steel structures fabricator. Also, Nestoil, a company that specializes in the horizontal directional drilling (HDD) technique in pipeline construction. Nestoil boasts of an experienced crew, 2 rigs permanently stationed in Nigeria, and the possibility to deploy more rigs and pipe pushers.
One of the achievements that Nestoil had to its name is one of the major, the biggest pipeline that has been constructed in the oil and gas industry. Nestoil has built so many kilometers of pipelines for sure, and as it stands today, Nestoil is one of the most successful oil and gas services company in Nigeria. More recently, over the past 2 years, Nestoil is also constructing the biggest pipeline ever built in Nigeria, the OB3 pipeline. That pipeline takes gas from the delta up to the north towards Oben. So for Nestoil, it's a company that has achieved so much that sometimes it's difficult for people to believe that it's a purely 100% Nigerian company. So we've done so much in terms of facility construction, the pipelines, and also in other areas of the services. Today, Nestoil has diversified further into dry docking, dredging, and HDD, horizontal directional drilling, which is like the new technology for laying pipelines. So there have been other companies that have just sprang up as a result of the services that Nestoil was able to provide in the industry.
In addition, the Shipside Dry Dock is one of the subsidiaries that is able to streamline its docking activities in the bid to meet its objectives for safe working conditions and a variety of services for vessels.
When we started, we had issues with the kind of jobs we were able to accept within the industry. But over the time, we found out that most of the jobs being given to Nigerian companies, or what the IOCs were able to provide for us, were just little or civil and mechanical jobs. So we decided to refocus into the pipeline construction industry. So Nestoil actually now had to focus more into the mechanical segment of the industry, and over the years we built capacity in pipeline construction, flow lines construction, and most of the mechanical works required for oil production. So the products of Nestoil today is in the pipeline construction, in major fabrications. We do major fabrications for most of the IOCs, and we aid the IOCs in building production facilities. I mean, in short terms, you can say that once the oil comes out of the ground, Nestoil can take care of the product from that time till it's exported. So we take care of all those facilities and all the services required to get oil into the tankers.
With a vision to deliver innovative customer-focused solutions safely, Nestoil established an aviation department, NTAi, to provide safe, reliable, comfortable and qualitative charter services.
The vision of Nestoil Limited is to be the leading integrated services and innovative solutions provider in our chosen markets. Then for our mission, we deliver integrated services, and solutions to our customers safely, to make sure that also when we deliver some of these services and solutions, we do them under a very safe environment and make sure that also the workers go home safely.
Given its deep knowledge and understanding of the operating environment, Nestoil combines professionalism, modern technology, and human capital to achieve set goals of its valued clients.
The oil and gas industry, over the period within which Nigeria was producing oil, has also gone through a kind of transformation, because initially the Nigerians were not involved in the production of oil. So the required manpower and the required technology transfer that would have enabled this production services or even the E&P business to concretize in Nigeria was not there. So within that period till now, there is this gap that exists between what Nigerians were able to do on their own and what the IOCs were able to do on their own. So there's a gap between what is being done in terms of personnel, in terms of technical transfer, and even in terms of production itself. So the volume of oil that can be produced in an economy is a function of further exploration activities, drilling, daily production, and also making sure that all the right parameters are all met. So I believe that this gap is as a result of lack of interest in getting the Nigerians involved in the day-to-day activities of oil production. So because of that gap exists, and until when such issues like local content laws, became so ineffective within the industry that this gap can actually be bridged.
Operating on the core values of integrity, innovation, teamwork, leadership, excellence, Nestoil believes the sky is not the limit, but the beginning.
Nestoil actually, is expected to be, one of the first, public quoted companies, in Nigeria. In the next 5 years, Nestoil should be, quoted in Nigerian Stock Exchange and also possibly also in the London Stock Exchange. So we expect Nestoil to go international also within the next 5 years. I mean, we should be talking about Nestoil in Angola, Nestoil in some of the countries where we have oil and that are already prospecting their oil now. So we believe that for me, Nestoil should be an international player within the next 5 years. But more importantly is that Nestoil will be quoted in Nigerian Stock Exchange. The plan is already on, and we know that within the next few years it will be actualized.
Ernest Obijackson's wealth of experience in the oil and gas sector have no doubt positioned him as the cynosure of all eye, given the number of awards in his kitty. He, however, shares with us some of his challenges.
What we've done over the years is also to make sure that we bridge the gap between what the experts have been doing for us and what the Nigerians, can do. So we've been able to transform completely most of the things that we hire experts to do overseas, to do them in Nigeria. You can see, Nestoil has grown to be 100% Nigerian oil and gas company. We don't have experts, working for us anymore. We just sometimes guess them even when we want to do some special type of jobs. But Nigerians has actually taken over the industry, and we are 100% Nigerian company. We build so many capabilities, so many capacity in different aspects of our work. Nestoil has its own challenges. The challenges is also similar to what you have in most of the developing economies. The major challenge also in Nestoil today is the ability to create the enabling or the capable manpower that that should sustain the growth in the company. We have the manpower problem, making sure that the people we are training to take over from the expatriate, the experts that work in the company are competent, and also that these Nigerians are also there to continue over the years to grow, within the company. So apart from those, personal challenges, we have also financial challenges. You know that Nigeria as a country and the Nigerian banking industry is also not so strong enough to support the oil and gas business. So there's problem with the finance. There's also a problem of manpower. But also more importantly also is the ability to conquer all the challenges within the communities where we work. There's
Olympic apple fruit drink made from European apples. Olympic, healthy choice.
Omni International Petroleum Development Company Limited is a leading oil and gas organization established over 2 decades ago with a special focus on exploration and oil production. Driven by the vision to be the company of choice for exploring and producing activities in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, Omni International Petroleum Development Company Limited constantly deliver excellent and cost-effective solutions to its clientele. Let's meet Tunde Afolabi, the visionary chairman.
Omni is one of the early indigenous oil companies that were licensed to operate. We got a license in 1993 and we've been operating as a producing and exploring company since then. For us, the vision is to be the company of choice for E&P activities, and our mission is to deliver quality service to our shareholders and the clients, and also to meet the aspirations of Nigeria and Nigerians.
Taking cognizance of the fact that gas is a clean source of power and reliable energy supply, Omni International Petroleum Development Company Limited, a dynamic and enterprising oil and gas operator, has externalized its potential in projects so far executed.
We have 3 times more gas than oil, and we are so blessed and overblessed that a lot of those oil reservoirs are associated with gas. We are looking at a urea plant where Nigeria produces fertilizer and they import 50% of the urea they use. Okay, 50%. So gas, dry gas is almost 80% urea. Okay, so you bring a plant in and you process the gas and you get urea. The market is there already, right? We're a small company, all right? So we are looking forward to say, okay, how do I go to zero flare out? And I can make good money doing it. And Nigeria has to think globally, all right? Of course, we are doing LNG. We are doing a few other, but that is not the only avenue, all right? You have methanol, you have urea, you have all kinds of byproducts of gas that you can do to where you reduce your flare to maybe 5%.
Presently, structures have been put in place to ensure Nigeria increase her oil production to enhance economic growth and development. George Osahon, the Director of Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, the regulating body for the oil and gas sector in Nigeria, gives more insight on this.
We all know that whether we like it or not, we need to have a lot more production. Everybody has talked about 40 and 4. I don't know if you are familiar with the terminology of 40 and 4. 40 and 4 simply means that the country has an aspiration to have 40 billion barrel reserves and 40 million barrel production of oil per day. The production I'm talking about in terms of the aspiration of the country with respect to reserves and production capacity is 40 billion barrel reserves and 4 million barrel of oil production per day. And that is what we are looking forward to achieve within the period of time. So we try to focus on those things. So we organize a number of fora for operating companies as well as potential operating companies on what they should do, how they should do it, when they should do it.
As a determined and focused organization, Omni, as the company is fondly referred to, is poised to add new lease of life to the oil and gas sector, given its wealth of experience in the industry.
The thing for small indigenous companies that we don't have a research, R&D, department, which we can really afford. So the only achievement you can say as a indigenous or producing company is that you keep producing, all right? So we've made discoveries, all right? We've started with maybe 40 million barrels of oil reserves, and we've grown to over 100 million barrels of oil reserves. So I think that's in fact maybe way more than 100 million barrels. And we've been able to also move out of the Nigerian territorial waters to outside of Nigeria to go and try our hands at what we know how to do best. So for us, it's just more or less adding more barrels to the reserves, to grow. So it is our achievement is just growth, that we've been able to grow from a small, 5,000 barrel a day company to where we are doing 20,000 barrels a day right now.
In pursuit of true excellence in service, coupled with its unique kind of activities, its performance has been quite impressive, and there is massive acceptance of Omni. Hence, plans have reached advanced stage to explore other shores within West Africa.
Foundation is being laid now to see Omni, get to 100, 200,000 barrels of oil a day. We are looking into gas very seriously right now. We have some very rich gas assets, and we are currently talking right now about doing the first floating LNG in Nigeria. Knock on wood, we'll probably be able to bring it to before 2020. With that, it's a real new chapter in the life of the company. And LNG gives us a very robust barrel, equivalent that we'll be talking more like producing another maybe 50,000 barrels of oil a day equivalent in LNG. So that is really our future, really, but we're also looking at other assets, like I said, we're in Ghana right now.
It is instructive to note that the oil and gas sector contributes about 80% to the gross domestic product, GDP, of the Nigerian economy, and so the Nigerian content policy is a welcome development for improved service delivery.
Say 4 years ago, that this started, we've still been able to maintain the output of the country. Unfortunately, though, we have not been able to do much in terms of exploration, because when you produce a barrel, you need to find 2 barrels to replace the barrel that you produce. Otherwise, you'll be retrograding. So that probably is the only drawback so far. And I think, everybody has tried their best to make it work, and I hope that this new dispensation will probably make it very relevant or very important for us that we do close this gap. Even if their standards are not up to what they are used to, they can go there and infuse some level of competency in those companies to bring them up to that world standard. And it's happened in several instances. So I applaud the local content policy. It's very, very good. And yes, there may be a little bit of inconvenience to some of us, small companies. But what is good for the country should be good for us, all right? And we are doing our best to support the policy and to make sure that it succeeds.
Potentials and investment opportunities abound in the Nigerian oil and gas sector. And so, Tunde Afolabi bears his mind on various issues in the operations of the sector.
When an industry is as good as the one we are doing right now, all right, and I'm talking about the indigenous producers, all right, you can't tell, a bank that its exposure to those industries should be limited to X, all right? Why? Nothing we produce stays here, okay? Everything we produce goes out. So it goes out and it brings money back, all right? None of the Nigerian companies that I know of, indigenous, have had any distress factor, they have had any distress issue, or seen any kind of bankruptcy, it's very simple arithmetic, we produce 20 eggs at $5, we sell it at $20, all right? We make $15 profit, we pay the bank. End of story. I don't have to worry the man or woman who's going to buy the egg is standing by my door in the morning every day to come and collect the eggs, all right? The barrels that I produce are being spoken for 2-3 months before they're ready to be sold. Most of the Nigerian banks are very, very good now, okay? They come, they loan you $200 million, they sign the document, they go out there and sell it down, okay? By pleading to you, central bank, please consider the local industry, that you don't want us to be going back to England, to New York, cap in hand.
He therefore gives this piece of advice.
The last 4 or 5 years have been very nice for Nigerian indigenous companies, because the Nigerian banks finally woke up to their call to charge, right? And we were able to raise all the monies we needed to operate. I hope that the government will actually set up a committee to look into this issue, right? To say that the oil industry needs to be given a special, dispensation, so that they are not put in the same category as housing, as agriculture.
I hope the edition was engaging and informative. That's how much time will permit us today. In case you miss any part of this broadcast, you can visit our website, www.promantraservices.com. You can like us on our Facebook page, Economy Today on NTAi. And to watch our previous episode, visit www.youtube.com/Economy Today on NTAi. Once again, I am Elizabeth Ocheme. From all of us here, we say thank you for watching. See you same time, same station next week.